Hey,
Hey everybody, this is Lobster Magnet with your and your best buddy gorogregoro. We are here to talk about the most recent episode 7 of My Hero Academia. Greg, what did you think of My Hero Academia this season or this the last episode we just saw?
um, I'm surprised how much they were able to milk out of this content. I imagine this wasn't like such a big deal in the manga. Uh,
It wasn't a great like thing. I was actually pretty impressed. I thought it was like kind of like okayish material, and I thought they did a good job of like dramatizing it and making it feel like it was much more important and much more satisfactory than it was in the manga.
yeah, I mean, you look at that guy's powers. What's his name? Shinzu? Shinzu?
Shinzu, I mean, you just call him like mind control guy, but
Brainwash Man. Brainwash Man, he's like a one trick pony, basically. And once you figure out his trick, all you have to do is just shut up and fight him. And he's completely useless.
yeah, it was pretty funny how like once like Deku like snaps out of it, it's just sort of like this like really pitiful fist fight. It's like, "Ah!
Yeah.
Ah! Ah!"
Um, I just think the brainwash guy's power is a little bit stupid, or like
Well,
he goes about it in like kind of a stupid way. Like, what if he was like some kind of? It showed like a flashback of him as like a psychology major, and he was like, "This is the way I can get people to respond to my, questioning. If I
well,
ask them pertinent questions about, you know, yo mama or something like that, saying something
the,
like that."
the important thing about like brainwash guy, and he introduces a sort of like X-Men like theme into the My Hero Academia world, is that like you know this is like a post-racial society. People don't care if you're black or white because now there are frog people and there are ice people and all these new subdivisions based on all these super quirks, right?
Okay.
But now in a world where everyone is powerful, not everyone is powerful, or when everyone's special, no one is special. But in the case of like the My Hero Academia world, people who are born with inherently villainous quirks are kind of
Discriminated against.
discriminated against to give him
That's
prejudice. He's like drawn like a shady villain character, and his whole thing is like, oh man, you could be a great villain. You could be a great villain. And what I think will happen as the series progresses, I think Midora Deku's arc is eventually what's going to make him better than All Might, is not so much his ability to like punch things really hard, as much as it is to empathize with people with quirks that are quirky and could be seen as evil or dangerous to society, and that'll be his like ultimate hyper friendship superpower.
I would like that if they did develop on that. Like, was it like clear? Was it like that clear in the manga? Like, that was kind of his um backstory. The Shinsu guy, brainwash man.
Yeah, it was pretty. I forget if they even like gave much of a backstory. Maybe just like a panel or two. Just sort of like the whole point. The only thing you really need to know about him is that like everyone thought he could be a villain. That
Right.
he's a villain, and the whole affirmation of him is like,
You
you
can't
know,
help what you want. That kind
yeah,
of thing.
well, the affirmation is that like you can be a hero. People will respect you. People do think that you can do this quirk for things other than like date rape and other horrible things.
Oh God.
uh, or stealing money or pretty much all the nefarious things because he's like a nefarious looking character, and I hate these fucking lights so much. This is watch, Greg. This is my fucking quirk. It's the I'm gonna move around and then turn the lights back on quirk.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
Oh my god! It's such a
Light flash.
light
Flash.
flush. That's my
Light
mother.
flash quirk.
Um, but yeah, that's the sort of like subtext of this whole thing, and it's developed further. It remains to be seen if like Deku's power of empathy winds up being his in friendship winds up being his ultimate superpower.
Uh huh.
It's still too early in the series to say that, but this is like when that sort of theme is starting to be established.
I mean, he could still just empathize him because, he comes from that same quirkless background, right? It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah,
have to be like a superpower kind of
true,
thing.
true. There was
It's
that.
like
But you
not
think
like
I
something like, oh, I'm using the power of my Naruto friendship and Naruto social skills to, get everyone to like me and become
Yeah,
Hokage or some bullshit
Deku's
like that.
incredible power was like throwing him over the line and kind of beating him up like a bully. So it wasn't the most heroic thing. It wasn't the most earned like friendship thing. He didn't, even though there was like subtext where like Deku was like, I understand. I didn't have this quirk. I'm not lucky. I was just like you. Everyone thought I was shitty.
Yeah. Deku can relate to him in that level, I feel. And that could be something. But I feel like his character is just like very one dimensional, one trick pony. The brainwash guy, it's just like, they could have. It seems like he would want to prove to everybody that he has the potential to be like better than like this power can be used as like for heroic purposes and to like improve his power by like maybe studying like psychology. I think he really should be like showing flashbacks.
Like a throwaway character.
They should be throwing flashbacks of him studying psychology or some shit.
You were just so hungry. You just love it when like manga have like pop psychology. That's like your favorite fucking thing, Greg.
Yeah.
Want this guy to be psychology man.
I mean, his powers basically revolve around this stupid one trick, and like if people figure out a way past that, he is completely screwed. He's completely fucked. I mean, how is he going to be a capable hero if everybody in the whole stadium, and then eventually it's going to be broadcasted everywhere? Like, I guess
maybe he needs to be tricky, or maybe he doesn't want to be, because remember, he's in the general course, not the hero course.
Every villain is going to know about his power, his brainwash power. Like, how is he going to get around that? It's just like, oh, you're that guy. I know your power. I just have to not say anything to you. And they'll be thinking about this in their head, and they won't be able to. Maybe he'll like get a voice changer. He'll change his voice every now and then and ask questions.
But you're thinking so much about this when like there are other one-trick pony powers like whatchamacallit, like the fucking Scotch tape man that we just saw this episode.
Yeah, but that's all right. Scotch tape man is different because it's like fucking Luffy with like the Gomu no rubber fruit. He could stretch his arms and like grab something and like smash someone with it. There's a lot of creative uses you can do with tape. Duct tape is very versatile, Isaac. You should know this.
Yeah, I know duct tape is very versatile, but it's kind of like, oh, I can tape things and grab things, and it's kind of a lame superpower.
Sure. It's lame, but there's some creative uses to it. This brainwashing, there is one trick to it. And once you figure out the trick, you are fucked. You are so fucked. There's got to be more creative uses for brainwashing.
Well, he doesn't have to necessarily brainwash other villains or heroes. He could brainwash civilians and have them kill themselves. Like, his brainwashing ability is basically the ability of like the Purple Man, and we all saw how creative you could do with that in Jessica Jones.
Okay, Purple Man didn't require someone to answer a question to mind control somebody.
Okay, it's one more step, but it's basically like the same power though. Once that step is achieved, he does the exact same thing.
Yes. Okay. So he would control civilians to fight for him, and
he could what
if he wants to use
civilian? They're gonna slit their throat, or I'm gonna send these civilians. Like
he's trained to be a hero,
or maybe he sends. Well, he has to figure out a heroic thing to use his thing for, even though it's like a better villain power.
Yeah, but I'm thinking. Use your special light quirk.
Yeah, my light quirk lit up things again.
All right, excellent. I just like I kind of want them to think more ideas of like how they can make his quirk more useful, even if the villains know about his, brainwashing quirk, because he wouldn't want to publicize that quirk in a stadium full of people, wouldn't he?
Well, he's a guy who's not expecting to be a hero, and he just wants to like take out as many people as possible. He's a spiteful guy. He's a spiteful
No,
character design.
I thought he said he wanted to be a hero.
He does, but he's kind of drawn as a spiteful guy, and it's all about like not prejudicing people based on their appearance and quirks.
Yeah.
You can't lump all frog or snake people.
People were cheering him on afterwards, like, "Wow, your brainwashing quirk was so cool. Your one-trick pony quirk was so cool. Wow, amazing."
You love. Oh my god, it's like such a small detail to just like obsess over.
I'm sorry, it's a major detail for me because, I mean, I still enjoy the episode a whole lot. I'm just like very nitpicky about this little thing.
You're very nitpicky about your pretend superpowers and how they can be used. And
I'm surprised like people really acknowledged him for. He basically all he was relying on was just like one trick. It didn't take a lot of skill. People were just like cheering him, like, "Way to go! You used so little skill to brainwash him, and make him almost step out of the stadium, but not quite. You did awesome. You almost made him step out of the stage." I just like. When I saw those classmates cheering for him like that,
it made sense from an emotional standpoint that this is a guy who always thought he was like, this is like My Hero Academia equivalent of like, a Hispanic or gangbanger who thinks that everyone's like, because he comes from a family of poor gangbangers that he's never going to rise above it. He's just going to be prejudiced. But then someone comes up to him, puts their thing on a shoulder, and it's like, you can be a firefighter, you can be a hero, you can be a software engineer. And he's like, I never thought that you could believe in me. So, evil, everyone thinks he could be the Purple Man. Maybe that's a more apt comparison. Everyone thinks he can be the Purple Man of, from Jessica Jones, that he's going to just do all these awful things. But, he shows that he can do his quirk and be cool and heroic by making Deku step out of the ring.
Maybe if they sort of built up a little bit about the kind of supposed prejudices there might be a little bit
there's a little bit more. Like there's this one really awesome single chapter in later on where there's this side character. It's like such a good self-contained backstory. It's like one of my favorite chapters of the series where basically there's like this minor side character and his ability is to like multiply himself.
Okay.
And he like multiplies himself so many times that like his multiples, and he starts like robbing stuff, and like he's like living this sort of like thug lifestyle, or this sort of criminal lifestyle. But then all of his multiples like start arguing about who's the real one.
Oh.
Then they start killing each other.
Oh my god.
Until the point where he's like the last one, and he's not even sure if he's the original or if he's just like a clone.
That's pretty freaky.
Yeah, and the whole idea is that, like, he always feels like he's splitting up unless he puts on his, like, gimp mask. And that's the only way he feels whole when he has that mask on and he's, like, working with the society of villains. And they're the only ones who kind of, like, accept his fractured self.
That's interesting, actually.
So that's, like, a good example of, like, later on of someone who has a quirk that, like, kind of, like, puts them into a position where, all they can do is exploit it. And the only place that, accepts them is, the villain society. So that's, like, an example. Because, like, I do really love some of the stuff of My Hero Academia. But, there is this lingering sense that, like, gotta push it, there's like one or two levels to like really bring it into that like first class top rate A++ shonen, and it comes really close. So that was an example of like, so whether or not he follows it up, like the ultimate thing of that arc will be like, once we eventually get the hand guy's backstory, because we haven't gotten that yet, that he has to deliver on that. It has to be a really good backstory to justify it. And eventually, like, the ultimate thing will be, like, Deku somehow breaking through to him and using his power of empathy and somehow connecting with, all these people who have, like, villainous quirks who feel ostracized and somehow making them feel included. And that'll, make it 10 out of 10, incredible manga. That'll basically be like, their equivalent of the Rock Lee fight and the underdog message of, Naruto, and Naruto seeking validation and helping people through their own traumatic problems.
Yeah. I think I mentioned this in the last episode review, where the backstories aren't very like defined yet. Like there's like a lot of subtle hints to like characters' backstories instead, and I guess it's kind of interesting, uh, tackling it from that perspective. Um, you have to sort of fill in the gaps. Like just having this conversation with you about this guy, like it's given me a better perspective on, his character and like how he's viewed upon the world and how society views him. Because society, he seems like, his classmates like him. His classmates want to cheer him on. And even though maybe society doesn't view his quirk uh, as a noble kind of quirk, they still want to encourage him even through that. And there's like some layers of, discrimination and anti-discrimination going on, that kind of thing in terms of quirks. So yeah, that to me is a little bit interesting. And then of course, okay, so besides that one guy in this episode, we got to see Ice and Fire guy.
Yeah, that was a good scene. That was really well animated.
I enjoyed that. The few seconds of him destroying Tape Man.
Poor Tape guy. He's like, I know I'm gonna lose this fight.
Might as well go all out.
I'm gonna go all out, and they gave the Tape guy a bitchin' animation. It's time for me to use my light quirk again. Yeah,
light quirk.
Light quirk. Okay, so what were you talking about? Tape guy?
Yes,
Tape guy. So Tape guy,
he gave him a bitch in animation.
He's the C-list guy. He's not meant for the A-list, but he's like, I don't care. I'm still gonna go all out. And the animators gave him this awesome scene of like, I've got you all wrapped up, and I'm gonna throw you out before you can even do anything.
Yeah,
but it still wasn't enough.
I mean, Fire and Ice Guy's powers is so strong.
Oh, of course. It's like anyone who was like, I could just project as much fire or ice as I want is always overpowered. It's always like really, really good. It's like the two best, strongest characters in one piece in one body.
Yeah, you were mentioning that I think in the last review, with how strong he was. He's like a Koji plus Fire Fist Ace combined
with Akinu combined with Iceman and and a little bit of Zuko angst thrown in there, in between.
Yeah, I think he's a really interesting character though, so far. Yeah, I really want to learn more about the Fire Ice Kid.
Did you like the little scene where he like encounters his dad? He's like, stop holding yourself back. Use your full power so you can be the bread thing I want you to be. Ha 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 ha.
Yeah.
And then he's like, Rah! And then his rage, puts the entire stadium in ice.
Yeah, it's interesting that he does actually have a use for his firepower too, to melt, to melt the ice afterwards during a fight.
He doesn't want anyone. This is still a universe where if you're encased in ice, you'll die over time.
Yes, so he's using it not to fight but to help people, kind of, and other uses as well.
Yeah, he's trying to heal versus his father who just like punches shit with fire.
Oh, because fire is a very destructive, rage-filled thing sometimes in the anime.
Well, I'm looking forward to like the stuff that happens. It's going to be really beautiful when they animate it. I can't wait. But they're going to do some really interesting stuff with him later on, which will be great to see animated. I mean, we got a taste of like the creme de la creme animation on display.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to more fights like this in Boku no Hero. I feel like the main two what I wanted to see so far, but I'm also interested in seeing the other characters fight as well.
There's like a few like throwaway fights. It's not quite as good. Like the Chunin exams did a good job of like even in the shorter fights, kind of like making them feel like fully fleshed out events where you got to see the two characters. Like you remember Tenten versus Temari?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's like a minor fight in the overallness of Naruto-dom, but it's like a decent fight because you get to see Tenten do all this cool shit and like escalator techniques until eventually she just gets her ass handed to her.
I mean, her techniques were just completely countered by Tamari because she controls wind. And,
Yep,
you
yeah,
know,
she was kind of fucked over. No matter how many things she threw at her, it didn't matter. Uh,
exactly.
but whatchamacallit, what was I gonna say? So you get a few like short fights here and there, but there are a few standout ones which I'm looking forward to seeing animated. Um,
That'd be cool.
and what do you think of the big revelation where all the successors of One for All stared at him?
Oh, um, I wasn't. I mean, that was kind of neat. Uh, yeah, I could see something like that. It's like the Kyuubi, talking to him in Naruto.
Well, one thing I like that they develop a little bit later, not quite as well as I'd like, but they sort of imply it, is that like the One for All is like this power that has been cultivated through generations. And I'm always a sucker for when like shonen manga like builds a larger world and like the hero isn't just like one hero; he's a part of this multi-generational saga. Like one of the things that like really made me fall head over heels in love with Naruto was that big like Leaf Crush arc where they have the giant war, and then it just becomes this like Lord of the Rings epic as civilizations clash, and then we learn that like Naruto is a part of this like generation long legacy between the Sanin and Orochimaru Jiraiya, as well as his father, who's tied to the whatchamacallit, who's tied to Jiraiya, and Orochimaru, who's also like this generational figure and tied to the third. And when you like sort of unscale that thing, and it feels like it's such a big saga, that's like one thing that makes me go head over heels. And there is a big moment later on where you sort of get a generational thing for All for One in terms of like the successors, and this is sort of like a little peek into that.
Yeah. Yeah, that is really cool when they do stuff like that. And Naruto, I really like that. You know, you sort of see patterns in history like repeat themselves
Yeah.
over and over again. And I assume they might do something similar with Boku no Hero with like the All for One things, the All for One guys.
Um, we haven't quite gotten a huge amount of history into it, but there is one amazing moment though later on in the series where you sort of get like a generational saga, and it's so good. It's my favorite moment. It was one of my favorite moments of the manga, and I can't wait to see it animated. And we probably won't see it animated, but I want to see it animated right now.
Yeah, I'd say right now I'm really starting to enjoy Boku no Hero. I'd say
It's nice. I feel like I'm seeing more coverage of it around. I'm seeing more fan art. I think a tournament arc like is always a good way to like get everyone invested, and I feel like I'm seeing this like really bloom into the the successor to Naruto that I always thought it would be.
yeah, and like we're not just developing Deku right now. There's being more of a build up for the rival character as well, Ice Fire guy, which I
Yeah.
can really appreciate right now because it used to all be mostly about Deku.
Well,
Deku, Deku.
there was this interesting editorial I found from like a lesser known YouTube guy who did a really good job of breaking down the first season and saying how like My Hero Academia's storytelling is very simple, and that's actually a good thing. And he said that like all of the characters' interactions are built around building up Deku, like
Right.
what you call it. Hand guy wants to kill All Might, which is bad for Deku because that means All Might won't be able to train him on how to become better with One for All. So that villain motivation like ties into our character,
Mhm.
and like all the other supporting characters all tie into Deku in terms of fleshing him out, which is kind of what you want from a first story arc. Because
Yeah,
like
I guess so.
the first
It
season is
makes
like
a lot of sense.
the first season is really charming, but it is sort of like the perennial basic bitch shonen beginning arc. Where you've got like a few self-contained one-shot storylines, and then you've got like a thing where there's like the tier one villain.
And you got a lot of potential characters too, and then is there sort of like what you're talking about with One Piece, where it just like it has like these glasses, and then you fill them up slowly, over the course of time.
Yeah, yeah. So they become overflowing, and then you have to fill out several glasses. And the first season is like very simple and very self-contained, and in some ways you could say it's oversimplified, but most shonen arcs do, and it's all tied into establishing Deku as like the guy we want to follow, and all of the characters, relationships. I'll have to find that video for you and share it to you. I'm kind of like paraphrasing it, not as well as I'd like to, but it was a really good video saying how like oversimplified storytelling is actually a strong point of the series, and at that for purpose of the first season, it worked very well for like setting up his like journey to become a hero.
I can see that. Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. Because sometimes, like a lot of time, simplification can be pretty bad.
Yeah, sometimes it gets a bad rap just because it's stupid or dumb, and like this is a baby's it's basic bitch. But sometimes like a lot of people like to throw Avatar, James Cameron's Avatar under the bus, and it's like the cool thing on the internet to shit on it. But one thing James Cameron does is even if it's a very trite storyline, he knows how to hammer those beats home. He knows how to make it connect on a wide basis. So even something like Fern Gully with giant cat people, each one of those feels earned. Jake Sully's journey feels earned as he becomes with the Na'vi culture. The fact where he's like on their side and the audience gets on their side.
How are the humans going to obtain unobtainium, though, Isaac?
I don't know, man. Just go to another planet.
Fuck unobtainium. The word unobtainium just like triggers me a little bit. But
would it be better? I remember reading somewhere that oil was once called unobtainium and gold was, and it could be like a pseudonym for any valuable resource. But yeah, sometimes like we love things like really smart things like Promised Neverland, but sometimes it's like simple. It's really nice just to have like something that's really well told, and even if it is very simple. I feel like there's a little depth here and there in My Hero Academia. I don't think it's fully come to flourish, but like there's enough subtext though that makes me happy.
Yeah, there's like a lot of potential with a series like this.
But I thought it was a really solid episode for what I always thought was kind of like mediocre material in the manga.
Yeah, I agree.
With that like the like the OST of the You Say Run, or not You Can Be Hero, the boom 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 boom.
I might give this episode a 9 or 8.5.
I'd say it was like an 8. It was a good 8. I was impressed with what they were able to do with stuff that I thought was just kind of okay in the manga, because basically it's like essentially the crux of the story is like. He's gonna walk to the edge, then he breaks his fingers, and then has like a really sad brawl as he's just like slapping this poor defenseless kid.
Yeah.
But when will Deku, get beyond his like self-abuse powers? Well, I do love it. He has to like break his freaking bones to.
It was convenient that there was a healer ready to heal his broken fingers.
Doesn't everyone love the healing girl with her healing kisses of Kissdom?
Yeah, it's probably going to be Deku's favorite character to go to.
Well, let's just watch. Even healing girl gets sick of his shit, and she's like, you motherfucker, if you're going to want to do this, I can't heal you forever. This shit's going to take a toll on you.
Damn. All right.
But I think that's a good coverage of the, thoughts on the episode.
Yeah, for sure. Should we end off here? Well,
yeah, I think so. I think this is a good point. Thank you for watching this video. We're excited for the next one. We'll probably get it out sooner, since there's no Mother's Day and other bullshit. I don't think there's anything going on next weekend, for me at least. Greg always has a not so busy schedule most of the time. So we'll watch it. Review it. So if you liked listening to us ramble and me using my turn on the lights quirk, click subscribe, like, give us a comment. We'll probably respond to it because I check the comments all the time and it gives me a sense of validation to see a comment.
Yeah, and check out Boku no Hero if you haven't already.
Yep, get on this train, man, before they eventually introduce their Akatsuki cloak and then it becomes the cool thing to hate on.
All right. Well, Take it easy.
Take it easy. Have a good one.